Hello and welcome. In this video, we will learn about class variables. Alright. Now to teach you the concept of class variables, I will use the same example that I had given in the previous video. Alright. Now first, I will declare a class variable and then explain you what it is. Okay. So here inside the class students, I will say year of admission is equal to 2025. Alright. Now this is a class variable. Alright. Class variables are shared among all the instances. Now what are instances? Instances are objects created from a class. Okay. So this is an instance and this is an instance also. Alright. So these two are the instances or objects of this class students. Okay. So class variables are shared among all the instances. Okay. Instance variables, on the other hand, are defined inside the constructor. Now what is a constructor? This init method is called as a constructor. Alright. So inside this constructor, we have instance variables. Alright. So these two are instance variables. And this is a class variable. Okay. Class variables allow us to share data among all the objects created from the class. But with instance variables, each object has its own version. Alright. Now, we can access the class variable through any of the object. Okay. So let me say print and student1 dot year of admission. Alright. So when I run this, I get the output as 2025. Okay. So I'm using object 1 or instance 1 to access the class variable. Okay. I can also use student2 to access the class variable. Okay. I'll get the same result. Meaning this class variable is shared among all the instances or objects. Okay. Now, it is not a good practice to access the class variables through objects. Okay. Then what is a good practice? It is a good practice to access the class variable by the name of the class. And so I will say students here. Students is the name of the class, and it is always a good idea to access the class variable using the class name. Okay. So I will run this and get the same result. This is because when you compare this line with this, then if we look at this print statement, then we can say that the year of admission is a class variable because we are accessing it directly from the class and not any object or instance from this class, right? Now, if we look at this print statement, we cannot say if year of admission is an instance variable like this or a class variable, because we are accessing it using an instance, right? So this is why it is a good practice to access a class variable by the name of the class itself instead of an object. All right? Yes. Now let me create one more class variable to keep track of how many students are eligible. All right. So I will say eligible students is equal to 0. Okay. So now we have two class variables. And how do we know that these are class variables? These are defined outside the constructor or the init method. All right. Now here I will say if self.age is greater than or equal to 6, then students dot eligible students is equal to students dot eligible students plus 1. All right. So what I have done here is I have included this part inside the constructor. Okay. So now I will access it using a print statement. Okay. I will say print students dot eligible students, and when I run this, I get 1 as the output. Okay. So what happened here? Initially, we declared the class variable eligible students as 0, right? And then inside the constructor, I am saying if self.age is greater than or equal to 6, then increment the class variable of this class by 1. Okay. So when I create this object, the first instance using this line, student 1 will be passed to self, Anita to name, and 5 to age. Okay. So these two will be executed, and then it will check if student 1 dot age is greater than or equal to 6. In this case, 5 is not greater than or equal to 6, and so this will not be executed. Okay. When I created this object or instance, student 2 was passed to self, Ravi to name, age 6, and then it checked if student 2 dot age is greater than or equal to 6. Here it is equal to 6, and so this class variable was updated to 1. Okay. So now here let me create one more instance by the name student 3, and here I will pass Mohan and I will say 7. Okay. So now when I run this, I get 2 as the number of eligible students. All right. Yes. So this is the concept of class variables. Okay.